And my next session is a little bit different because I am joined by Patrick Herman, who is the exhibition director from MacBooks Exhibitions, who is running the InPrint, ICE and CCE show in Munich at the Messe Munich in March next year. So we're taking an opportunity to just have a chat with him, find out a bit more about the show, find out a bit more about the collaboration between the three shows in terms of the interconnection, and just get a feel from him what he thinks the market's doing and where it's going. So hi to you, Patrick. How are you?
Hi, Fraser. Yeah, very well. And yourself?
Yes, good. So let's just kick off and explain to us, Patrick, a bit more about the thinking behind bringing InPrint in alongside ICE and CCE, and explain ICE and CCE just for people who may not know it or know them.
Yeah, okay. Just a quick rundown on what ICE and Europe and CCE International are. So ICE Europe is the show for the converting industry. So we're talking about the converting of thin web-based material, in this case, paper, film, and foil. And, the exhibitor base is basically companies showing machinery, accessories, and software solutions for that industry, with the visitors being companies from all sorts of industries who are looking for solutions from that industry. And CC, on the other hand, is for the corrugated and folding carton market. The principle of the show is the same. We've got the machinery manufacturers and the providers of accessories, solutions, and software solutions at the show. And the visitors, they are from all sorts of industry, mainly the corrugated and folding carton producing industry, but also packaging, the pharma industry, and logistics industry, for example. So that's what ICE and CCE are basically about. The reason why we thought it would be good to co-locate InPrint Munich to these two shows is there is a lot of synergy across related markets when it comes to the print technology industry and the converting and the corrugated and folding carton industry. So our thinking behind is to create kind of a multi-phase platform to use the synergies. So that should then hopefully create a lot of opportunities for exhibitors from both, for all three shows. Yeah. So basically, it is all about, creating synergy and making sure that we can, deliver more to our customers than with just having these shows separated.
Yeah, I get that. And I also understand from your own research that the visitorship from those three shows, there is a sort of, it becomes a bit of a supply chain, doesn't it? They're all part of that integral part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Supply chain around the subject. So, for example, of course, corrugated, we've been talking a lot about corrugated on the Virtual Summit, and that's a big market opportunity. And some of the technology that's at InPrint is being used in some of the corrugated, digital print for corrugated print technology like HP and EFI's products. So there's definitely a crossover there. And in terms of the visitorship to the three shows, there's also a relationship between them as well, isn't there?
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, mainly because the visitors who are interested in machinery for, let's say, corrugated or film or foil producing, they also at some point, obviously, they need printing technology. And that is something we are providing it at ICE and CC as well, but not in a way that InPrint can provide it. And that is where the overlap comes, because it basically creates a more comprehensive visitor journey. So you have the visitors, going to one show, and then also if they're interested in printing technology, which they are because they really need it, they now have InPrint as basically as a connector between the industries.
Sure. And we can see ourselves, obviously, that there's certain segments that are interesting, like flexible packaging or corrugated card. In terms of the print market and the packaging market, then there's definitely an evolution of the technology. Those markets are doing quite well out of the current climate, and obviously with COVID, their retail direct, they're impacting on packaging for retail, which of course is some parts are not working so well, but some are stronger, and packaging one of them. So these are kind of these are good, strong relationships and strong markets for the opportunities that lie ahead, really, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned packaging. I think our research showed that basically packaging is one of the growth markets where printing companies, or in this case, InPrint exhibitors, are really interested in it. Is from a visitor point of view, it is one of the strong visitor markets to both shows, ICE and CCE. So I think this factor alone is already something that shows that there is a lot of synergy in terms of the co-location. There is a lot of potential because we have like a very strong market, a visitor market that is already present at CCE and ICE. And we have InPrint, on the other hand, who are trying, where the companies are trying to get more into that market. So that already is, I think, that is already pretty good in terms of having these shows co-located.
Yeah, sure, good. Couple of things that I just would pick up on. Interested to know from your point of view. Obviously, this show runs in Munich, in Germany. Currently, trade shows, we don't know what's going to be happening by March next year, but currently trade shows are happening in Germany, aren't they? They are active and they are running. So that's a good thing already.
Yeah, true. I think the main factor is why trade shows in Germany are currently working is when the whole situation started with COVID, it was basically that the German government, they reacted very fast. They acknowledged, first of all, that trade shows and exhibitions, they are part of the industry, they are part of the economy, and they are really needed. So they've never been treated like a mass gathering, and that more or less then enabled the state governments in Germany, who are responsible for finding solutions in terms of how exhibitions can be run, together with the venue owners, that enabled them to come up with plans and measurements very quickly, and to restart the exhibition industry. And from what we've seen so far is that some of the big shows in Germany, they're already happening again, obviously under completely different circumstances, but they are happening. And the owners so far and the exhibition organizers, they're doing their best to make it as safe as possible for everyone. And yeah, as I said, from what we currently are seeing in Germany, it is working. And yeah, well, that looks very positive for us, especially, for us as an organizer who wants to run a show next year as well.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about what you've done to sort of, think in terms of the experience for the visitors, because I think that's crucial. Visitors need to feel safe attending shows.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about that in a moment. I'm just interested to drill down a little bit more in terms of the marketplace. As I said, this is at Messe Munich. It's obviously positioned very nicely in terms of Germany and where the industrial heartlands are, or high-tech heartlands are. So, we know that automotive particularly is in that area. So you, just thinking a little bit further forward, there's a lot of conversations that say, the shows that will be successful in the short term, whilst things are still, people are still nervous, are definitely going to be more localized. You're expecting sort of a good local audience, or drivable rather than flying, and people coming in on the day. And that, I guess, is what you're thinking very much with this kind of co-locate of all the shows together in Munich. You kind of bring people to a hub, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, and especially with Munich as a venue. I mean, if you look at where Munich is positioned within Germany, it's also, very easy to reach from many European customers, because it's kind of close to countries like Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, and these countries, they are a big part of our exhibitor and visitor base at the show. So looking at where the show is positioned, it is really, really good. And even in Germany, I mean, it's not too difficult to reach Munich from wherever you are in Germany. So yeah, and having all three shows together, it is basically now kind of a hub. So with one visit, you can visit 3 shows. You can cover a whole lot of potential topics, and you don't have to visit. Have to go to many shows and drive around, or especially in the current situation, you don't really have to fly. And I think that is why Munich is right now definitely one of the best venues to hold a show at.
Yeah, I think you're right, and they've run successfully some shows in the last few weeks, so that's a good.
They have, yeah, correct.
The other thing I know from having conversation with you is that ICE and CCE certainly have been there hasn't been a drop-off in terms of number of exhibitors. There's a real sense that, these shows are strong shows, deliver really good value, and the exhibitors, love them and want to be part of them. So, you've got great commitment already, haven't you, which is good news. I'm just wondering a little bit more about the focus, particularly for the industrial print side, the InPrint side. I think you've been thinking sort of automation as one of the focuses. Sustainability is going to be interesting. So just give me a flavour of what you're doing in terms of the programme and the sort of feel and theme for the event.
Yeah. First of all, yeah, you're right. Automation, sustainability, they are two major topics in general in every industry. I mean, we're steering more towards like cloud-based infrastructures, having workflow management in a completely different way. So these, in terms of automation, these will always be big topics, and they're getting bigger and bigger. Sustainability, obviously, I mean, reducing environmental footprint is a main topic. It always will be a main topic, and just for that reason alone, sustainability is one of the key topics. And I think if you look at the printing sector, it will have a key role in that, with regards to these two topics, because especially from what we've seen so far is that these topics are accelerating very fast in the printing industry, much faster than they do in other industries. So, and I think that is why InPrint, is already a bit closer to having these topics integrated and reflecting these topics within the show than other shows do. The plan basically for what we want to bring to the visitors is the visitor journey I mentioned at the beginning. So we will have quite a sophisticated matchmaking program, which will obviously enable visitors to get in contact with every exhibitor that is at one of these shows. So it's not just you're just limited to the exhibitor universe you have at one show. You will have access to all the exhibitors. You will have access to all of the shows with your entrance ticket. You will have access to all the documentation, all the visitor tools, no matter what for you is the key show or which show you're actually planning to go to. You will also have access to all the other two shows, depending on where you're going. And that is basically where we focus on now, to give the exhibitor the opportunity to have a much larger visitor journey and a much larger experience than just if you would just go to one show.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I know that you're going to put together some content, and I know that Marcus and I will be involved in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, a lot of what we've got from the virtual summit, we'll be putting into real life, which will be great. I mean, I have to say myself, I'm really looking forward to going to another show, to a real show, which would be great. Yeah. Good to see everyone. We really hope the industry will come together. I'm sure they will. So that's good news. And, as I said myself, I think we're confident with Germany because we know they're really on it. And they are very supportive of the exhibition industry, unlike the UK, where they're kind of struggling a little bit here. So that's good news. That is really good. Were there any key sort of trends that you wanted to touch on that were perhaps pre-COVID that you sense were happening and are coming through still very clearly? I mean, you mentioned obviously sustainability, that's crucial. Anything?
Yeah.
Packaging, of course, that's one of the other big segments.
Yeah, I think what's getting bigger and bigger, especially in the corrugated industry, but also in the flexible packaging industry, is e-commerce. E-commerce is getting bigger and bigger in these industries, and obviously that then at some point involves also printing. So we've seen quite a big growth in terms of e-commerce. That was pre-COVID, but also post-COVID. There is still a lot of growth. I mean, everybody now is shopping online. Everybody's ordering on Amazon. So obviously, you have a lot of demand for all sorts of packaging. And at some point, printing needs to be involved. So currently, no matter if it's corrugated or if it's flexible packaging, if it's film or foil, there's a very, very big trend towards packaging, and the demand for packaging solutions, the demand for machinery, and the demand for, at some point, then obviously having printing technology you can integrate into that. So I think one of the big topics, and that is why InPrint also is a very good co-location. With InPrint, we have quite a big knowledge hub. We have many companies and we have consultants. We have you and Marcus, obviously. that have got a lot of knowledge about what's possible, what can be integrated, what are the solutions, which companies are out there. So I think one of the big topics will be on integration and how printing can be integrated in the other processes. That will be one of the key topics, definitely.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. It's very true, integration. And I also think the interesting thing particularly is when you look at digital and inkjet particularly into these spaces. So you mentioned, with ICE and obviously foils and flexible packaging, and you've got corrugated. These are absolutely markets that InPrint will be looking, the technology there is good, it's solid, it's developing technology for those applications. So it's a really nice story across those three shows, because you've got print technology developing that very specifically for people that are also involved in the other events. So that's really, really good news. Just any other things you wanted to draw attention to as we sort of wrap up this conversation?
I mean, what I can say is that, and you already mentioned that from an exhibitor perspective, what we've seen so far, despite the current situation, we have everybody more or less looking forward to finally attending a physical event again. Yeah. Like you said, you and Marcus are, looking forward to do that as well. And I think from what we know so far is that, it will be done in a completely different way, and the circumstances are different. But I can only say that, if you right now want to restart your business, or you're looking into developing, then a physical event in the way like ICE, CCE, and InPrint, that is something you should really consider about joining. And obviously we, from an organizer perspective, we will do our best to make it as safe as possible in the current situation. We're really working hard on that one together with the venue owners. So I can only urge people to really think about what the benefit of a physical event is, and therefore considering joining us in Munich next year. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, as we said ourselves, we know that Messe Munich has already done some events. They've been very careful and cautious in terms of people talking to each other. There were masks being worn. They were slightly wider aisles. They were, as you said, matching people so that it was, very track and trace.
Yeah.
I really feel that, as you say yourself, it's, the guys at Messe Munich really know what they're doing. The guys at Mack Brooks are really taking a lot of care over this. They recognise the importance of the exhibitor experience and also the visitor experience, and managing that really effectively, and giving confidence to everyone to be happy to attend these shows. So in the respect of what you've got a great bring together of the market in those three events, and you've got a really good and efficient management system that is in place to make sure everyone's experience is effective and good. So really pleased to have that conversation with you, Patrick, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And, we look forward, as I said earlier, we really do look forward to seeing people from the industry back out in the real world in March next year. Just to give us exactly dates, so if anyone doesn't know the dates, give us the exact dates.
Yeah, it's the 9th to the 11th of March next year in Munich.
Brilliant. Thank you. And it's a 3-day event, and lots going on, as you said, and
it is.
The exhibitors are going to be taking part. So looking forward to that. Thanks, Patrick. Really grateful for you giving us your time today, and I look forward to seeing you, if I don't see you before, seeing you next year. Thanks very much.